When the final episode of the Wonder Falls, The Beat Doi Siu Ko, ends with the villain Ha Won-do suddenly opening his eyes in the midst of a ruined battlefield, many viewers initially assume it is just another typical K-drama or superhero-style cliffhanger. However, as discussions intensify, audiences begin to realize that this detail may not simply be a narrative twist. Instead, it feels like a calculated signal, possibly testing whether the public is ready to accept a potential second season amid controversy surrounding its lead actor, Eun Woo. This is precisely why the Wonder Falls has become one of the most unusual Korean drama cases of the year. It is no longer being watched purely for entertainment, but also being scrutinized as a kind of public morality experiment involving both viewers and the production team. Never before has the gap between commercial success and reputational crisis felt so fragile. Despite the controversy surrounding Eun Woo, the Wonder Falls quickly rose to number 1 on Netflix in South Korea, Vietnam, Thailand, and several other Asian markets. It also climbed to number 3 on Netflix's global TV shows chart shortly after release. These numbers alone are enough to confirm the show's massive international appeal. Yet paradoxically, the more successful the series becomes, the deeper it is drawn into public controversy. Just before the show aired, Eun Woo faced media scrutiny over allegations involving approximately 20 billion won in additional tax payments. He quickly issued an apology, acknowledging a lack of understanding in handling his financial obligations, and later confirmed that he had fully settled the outstanding tax amount. However, his rapid return to the screen before public sentiment had cooled sparked divided reactions in South Korea. Some viewers argue that the entertainment industry has become too lenient towards celebrities involved in scandals, questioning how someone recently embroiled in tax controversy could continue appearing in high-profile projects without pause. On the other hand, others believe the backlash reflects an increasingly harsh cancellation culture in the Korean entertainment industry. From this perspective, Eun Woo has already apologized and fulfilled his tax obligations, and the drama itself should not be penalized for the actions of a single individual. Interestingly, this polarization has only increased curiosity around the Wonder Falls. Many viewers are not only watching for the storyline but also to judge whether Eun Woo deserves his return to the screen. Ironically, his performance turns out to exceed expectations. Lee Eun-jong may very well be one of the most defining roles of Eun Woo's career. For the first time, audiences are not only focusing on his visual appeal but also discussing his emotional range, tone control, and acting improvement. Several internal emotional scenes reveal a depth that goes far beyond the idol actor label he has long been associated with. In particular, his on-screen chemistry with Park Eun becomes one of the strongest highlights of the series. In a drama filled with chaotic tones, dark comedy, and supernatural elements, their dynamic provides a rare sense of emotional grounding, making it easier for global audiences to stay engaged despite external controversy. However, the domestic Korean audience remains far less forgiving. On online communities such as the Ku and Nate Pan, debates continue to rage throughout the broadcast period. Some viewers admit the show is entertaining but claim they lose immersion whenever Eun Woo appears. Others sympathize with Park Eun, suggesting she is unfairly burdened with promoting a project overshadowed by controversy. At the same time, critical comments reflect frustration toward what they perceive as an overly lenient entertainment system. Yet it is precisely here that Netflix's strategy becomes most intriguing. Despite being labeled a limited series, the Wonder Falls ends with a clear narrative opening that strongly hints at a possible continuation. This contradicts the typical expectations of a self-contained limited series. If the intention was truly to conclude the story, the production could easily have permanently eliminated the antagonist rather than leaving behind ambiguous resurrection clues. Many media analysts interpret this as a deliberate audience response test. Netflix appears to understand that announcing a second season during ongoing controversy surrounding Eun Woo would trigger backlash. Instead, the platform chooses a more subtle approach, leaving emotional breadcrumbs that encourage viewers to feel curiosity and even disappointment over the possibility of an ending. If audiences respond with sentiments like "Is it really over?" or "I want a continuation," It signals that attachment to the story outweighs negative sentiment toward the actor. In other words, Netflix is not directly asking whether viewers forgive Eun Woo. It is allowing viewership behavior to answer the question for them. This is what makes the WOND Fools one of the most fascinating case studies in modern Korean entertainment. The series is no longer just a superhero comedy drama. It has become an example of how the streaming industry operates today. Scandals are no longer absolute endings, but can be transformed into strategic variables within global content economics. In the Netflix era, the term limited series no longer strictly means finite storytelling. It simply means limited until the potential profit becomes too large to ignore. And if that happens, the final scene of Ha Won-do opening his eyes may not just be a cliffhanger for the villain. It may instead be a signal of resurrection for Cha Eun-woo's return in Season 2.